Gregor Clegane, known as the Mountain That Rides, earned his reputation for cruelty early in his life. A dispute with his younger brother Sandor over a toy led to him pressing one side of his brother's face into a fireplace, scarring his sibling for life and earning Sandor's undying hatred. His sadistic tendencies only grew as he became a knight, using his massive size and strength to intimidate and brutalize those around him. Gregor's violent nature found a home in the service of House Lannister. As a loyal bannerman, he carried out Tywin Lannister's ruthless orders without hesitation. His service to the Lannisters allowed him to indulge his bloodlust under the guise of military duty, leading to numerous atrocities against the enemies of House Lannister. One of Gregor's most notorious campaigns was the systematic destruction of the Riverlands during the War of the Five Kings. His early actions, done at the behest of Tywin Lannister, earned him the wrath of Ned Stark, who dispatched a punitive expedition led by Beric Dondarrion to bring the Mountain to justice. But both Ned Stark and Beric underestimated the forces Tywin had put at Gregor Clegane's disposal, and Beric's party proved unequal to the task of bringing in the Mountain. He led a series of brutal raids, burning villages, killing innocents, and committing widespread atrocities. His actions were aimed at destabilizing the region and instilling fear, further cementing his reputation as a monstrous figure. Among his many vile deeds, Gregor's treatment of an innkeeper's daughter stands out. He raped and murdered her without remorse, leaving her mutilated body as a stark warning to others. Her tragic fate became one of the many stories of horror associated with Gregor's name. Gregor's occupation of Harrenhal was marked by extreme cruelty. He was known for torturing captives and executing anyone who defied him. His reign of terror at Harrenhal showcased his capacity for inflicting pain and suffering, making the castle a place of dread and horror. During this time, Gregor also inflicted horrific abuse on Pia, a servant at Harrenhal. He brutalized her, treating her as little more than an object for his sadistic pleasures. Pia's suffering was emblematic of the broader terror he imposed on the inhabitants of Harrenhal. During the sack of King's Landing, Gregor Clegane committed his most infamous and heinous acts. Under Tywin Lannister's orders, Gregor led a detachment of soldiers into the Red Keep as Lannister forces breached the city walls. With unmatched ferocity, Gregor fought his way through the palace, climbing the tower to reach the royal apartments in Maegor's Holdfast, where Princess Elia Martell and her children were hiding. Scaling the tower with brutal efficiency, Gregor cut down anyone who stood in his way, leaving a trail of bodies in his wake. Upon reaching the royal chambers, he forcefully entered and first found Elia's young son, Aegon. He killed the infant by smashing his head against a wall, splattering blood and brain matter across the room. He then turned his attention to Elia. Gregor found Elia Martell clutching her daughter, Rhaenys, in a desperate attempt to protect her. Ignoring her screams and pleas for mercy, Gregor tore Elia away from her daughter, raped her while holding her down on the floor, and then brutally murdered her by crushing her skull with his bare hands. After violating and killing Elia, he dragged Rhaenys out from under her bed and stabbed her repeatedly until she was dead. These acts of brutality were not only war crimes, but also deeply personal acts of vengeance, leaving an indelible mark on the history of Westeros and fueling the long-standing enmity between House Lannister and House Martell. Gregor Clegane's duel with Oberyn Martell was a pivotal and brutal encounter. Oberyn, also known as the Red Viper, sought vengeance for the rape and murder of his sister Elia Martell and her children by Gregor. During the duel, Oberyn used his agility and spear to inflict several wounds on Gregor, while taunting him to confess his crimes. Despite suffering grievous injuries, Gregor managed to grab Oberyn, crushing his head with his bare hands, ultimately killing him. However, the wounds Gregor sustained were severe, and he was left on the brink of death, poisoned by Oberyn's spear. In his near-death state, Gregor was taken into the care of Qyburn, a disgraced Maester known for his unethical experiments. Through a series of necromantic and Frankenstein-like procedures, Qyburn managed to bring Gregor back to life, but as a monstrous, undead version of his former self. Stripped of his humanity, Gregor rose as a silent, intimidating enforcer, serving as a member of Cersei Lannister's Queen's Guard. Now a hulking zombie-like figure, Gregor became an instrument of fear and brutality under Cersei's command, called now Robert Strong. In death, perhaps he will become even more feared than he was in life. What hero will be the one to end his abominable existence and bring his train of bloodshed to an end?